All right, tonight we are still awaiting Robert Mueller's next move. Two reports are expected before the end of the week, including new information on the special counsel's coordination with Michael Cohen, and as well as findings from the never-ending saga surrounding Paul Manafort. Oh, yeah, nothing to do with Russia. Neither case has anything to do with collusion. And on Tuesday, Mueller released its report on Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. That memo also providing zero evidence of collusion, a process crime. But leave it to fake news CNN to put facts last and immediately speculate that the Flynn memo was the beginning of the end for the president. Lies they've been telling us for 2 years. They just keep recirculating the same lies. Take a look.
The redacted document, if we can put it up, people on Twitter were literally speculating that part of this blacked out part, it matched the number of characters in the words President Donald J. Trump. That's the extent to which people are going here. You can see it there to try to figure out what's there.
For nearly 2 years, Robert Mueller and his merry band of Democratic donors, they have provided ample fuel for everyone who wants to destroy the administration, delegitimize a duly elected president. Now, today, the president made this astute evaluation, writing, quote, "Without the phony Russia witch hunt and with all that we have accomplished in the last almost 2 years, tax cuts, regulation cuts, judges, military vets, my approval rating would be at 75% rather than 50%, just reported by Rasmussen. It's called presidential harassment." And when Robert Mueller wraps up his investigation, he shouldn't have any trouble getting a job at the DNC. He's already raised millions of dollars for Democrats, worked overtime, full-time to destroy President Trump, and he has so many connections after all, he has staffed his entire probe with big-time Democratic donors, and even former Hillary Clinton lawyer over at the Clinton Foundation. But as the hunt continues, well, we can report good news to you tonight. A few on the left are actually finally being held accountable. Tomorrow, James Comey, he will now testify under oath in front of the House Judiciary Committee, and he will have a lot to answer for. And much of it surrounds Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. After all, remember, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, all previously stated Flynn did not appear to them to be lying. And now Flynn ultimately pled guilty to that charge, which stemmed from our federal government illegally what? We had surveillance, unmasking, no minimization, and then, of course, leaking raw intelligence on Flynn's international communications. So what did Comey know about that illegal unmasking and leaking raw intelligence? While Comey prepares for the hot seat, two other anti-Trump operatives are in hot water tonight. The AP is reporting that Democratic lobbyist Tony Podesta, the brother of Clinton campaign chair John Podesta, along with Obama's former White House counsel Greg Craig, they are now the subjects of a federal investigation into their lobbying efforts for the pro-Russia government of Ukraine. No criminal charges yet filed, but the investigation is reportedly ramping up as we speak tonight. And also breaking tonight, a damning new report from John Solomon at The Hill, revealing shocking details about the investigation into the Clinton Foundation. According to Solomon, he'll join us in a few minutes, a 2017, a whistleblower submitted thousands and thousands of pages of evidence, revealing shocking allegations, including, quote, serious concerns about legal compliance, improper, literally commingling of personal and charity business, and, quote, quid pro quo promises made to donors while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. And it is important to note that the Clinton Foundation raised a whopping $62.9 million in 2016 when a Clinton presidency looked inevitable. The very next year, after a shocking defeat, the foundation only managed to raise a paltry, $26 million. Now, that is a very suspicious trend, given clear pay for play accusations surrounding the Clinton Foundation. Now, a spokesperson from the foundation did get back to us and tell us that it is one of the most heavily scrutinized charitable organizations in the world and is continually subjected to politically motivated allegations, and the foundation's CFO is denying any inappropriate or illegal activities. Well, we'll see. And by the way, Solomon has been very busy this week. Last night, right here on this program, we showed you another breaking report from The Hill exposing serious FISA abuse at the highest level of James Comey's FBI and Obama's DOJ. And according to this report, the new evidence in the form of a huge email chain finally discovered after 2 years revealing that, quote, the FBI was aware before they secured their first warrant, infamous FISA warrant on Carter Page, that in fact there were intelligence community concerns about the veracity, the reliability of the main evidence, the bulk of evidence that went into the FISA application. In other words, the Clinton, bought and paid for Christopher Steele dossier with Russian lies. Now, this smoking gun evidence that high-level FBI officials willfully committed a fraud multiple times on FISA court judges to obtain and secure a warrant on this Trump campaign associate, Carter Page. They never told the FISA judge that the dossier was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton, a massive omission, or that its contents were never corroborated or never verified, and that our own intelligence community had doubts. And yet, because of that phony dossier, an American citizen for a year was spied on by our federal government. A grave miscarriage of justice. John Solomon will have more in just a minute. But first, we're only weeks out of the midterms, and already, believe it or not, the 2020 election is starting to heat up. Democrats have an extremely long and extremely weak field of candidates likely running to challenge President Trump. And tonight, one of the top contenders, far-left zealot Kamala Harris, is cutting ties with a top aide embroiled in what is a massive harassment scandal. She accepted his resignation today after the Sacramento Bee reported the details of a 2016 $400,000 suit, and Harris is claiming she had no prior knowledge of this massive legal filing. We'll find out over time. Now, Senator Harris will reportedly decide over the holidays whether or not she wants to challenge President Trump in 2020. And, of course, Harris and other top liberals will make gun ownership a big issue for 2020. Make no mistake, they do not believe in the Second Amendment the way a lot of Americans do. But Democrats should, well, probably take note of what happened to Dick's Sporting Goods. Earlier this year, remember, Dick's Sporting Goods took a political stance against the Second Amendment. They actually hired a gun control lobbyist, refused to sell guns to law-abiding citizens under the age of 21. They stopped selling AR-style long rifles. Well, now the chain sales have dropped nearly 4%, and its outdoor-focused Field and Stream stores may soon be closing their doors. Now, sadly, what Dick's and most of the Democrats often take for granted is the Second Amendment matters to the American people. That's why it is, number 2. Now, it's an ever-present check on the threats of foreign, domestic, and also, it's more than that, to own a gun. It's the right to defend yourself and your family, self-preservation, a protection of all our inalienable rights as Americans. And we live in a dangerous and more violent world every day. All right, joining us now on more